Hey, how are you doing? In this video, I'm gonna show you how to draw the eyes. I will show you everything you need to know from perspective all the way to anatomy, proportions, and of course shading. So if you're interested, stick around and let's dive right in. So to start off, we're gonna cover perspective of the eye. If you're not familiar with the topic of perspective in general, I would highly recommend you to actually first learn that and then you can actually focus on anatomy. I'm currently working on a tutorial about perspective so that if you don't feel confident about the topic and you would like to learn about it, I would highly recommend you to check out the tutorial. So you can go down below this video to the description box where you will find a link that will take you directly to the course. I am pretty sure it will help you a lot. So the first thing that I would like to mention is that an eye is not flat. Most of us, we tend to draw the eye as if it was something like this. But in reality, an eye looks more like this. An eye has three-dimensionality. It means that an eye is not flat, it's anything but not flat. If you look at these examples, you can see how perspective works. We can actually achieve the result that we want. We want to convey the idea that the viewer is looking at something that looks as if it was 3D even though it is not. And that's the reason for which perspective is so useful and necessary. You have to think of an eye as if it was a box, right? You can actually fit an eye inside of a box, as you can see here, right? Obviously, because you already know a little bit or you already know about perspective anyways, you understand what's going on here. Basically, this is a box that is going towards the vanishing point. You know this is 3D because it has depth and it has width and it has height. So the best way you can actually learn about this aspect about perspective of the eye is to forget about the details. Think about think about the shape of the eye, right? So I would recommend you to do this exercise that you can see here. So instead of going like how to draw a realistic eye, I will highly recommend you to first think about the shape. So you can do exercises like this. So you would draw an sphere and you will think, so you will have to think about the direction of the eye. Where do you want the eye to look towards? So in this case, I want my eye to look towards, let's say I want my eye to look at the front, looking at the front, right? Simple. So you will have to draw something like this. And if you wanna if you wanna make your eye look 3D, you can do something like this. So you have to think, okay, I want my eye to look, let's say, a little bit up, but in 3D. So I want my eye to have perspective. So instead of a flat eye like this, you can do this exercise and draw something like this. And you can actually give the eye any direction, right? But I highly recommend you to do this exercise. You can fill many pages. So if you have a sketchbook, you can actually take your pen and you can draw as many of these spheres as you want. So this is actually the iris. This exercise is actually very useful because it helps you to understand this idea of three-dimensionality, right? When I've seen many people, and I was one of them, that we used to look, or I used to look on the internet how to draw a realistic eye or how to draw an eye, and most of the tutorials they will show you an eye that looks like this, so it is flat. And they will go in detail and they will draw amazing eyes that look very realistic, and that's fine. But if you don't learn about the perspective of the eye and perspective of the anatomy in general, you will actually have a very difficult time making your ideas come through. Now let's move on to this area. Here, this is the way you should think about the face, or the eyes and the face in general, when you are drawing them. Here you have the way the face should look like. It is rounded, so it is not flat. As you can see here, this is a wrong example and this is a very good example. So here I'm gonna draw the shape of the head, right, from top. So your face should look something like this. So it is rounded, right? So it goes like this. This is the back of your head, and this is the front. This is your nose. So you can see the shape of it. It is rounded, so it is not flat. Because if it was flat, it would look something like this, and it is not actually right. Your face and in general all your body looks, instead of something like this flat, it looks more like this. It has different planes like this. So this is your eyes like this, and all of these they are different planes of the eye, of the face and the whole head. Here this is your eyes, as you saw here. They have three-dimensionality, and this is the nose, which has many other planes. But the point that I want to make here is that you have to think about anatomy and you have to think about the eye, and as if it as a shape, because they are shapes that have three-dimensionality. If we draw something like this that is flat, we can make do with it, but it will limit us because we won't be able to draw something that is in perspective. I would say that most of the drawings that I've seen and that I like to draw, most of them they are in perspective, because with perspective you can do so many things, and that's why that is something that we should definitely know if we wanna get very good at drawing. Now let's move on to this topic, anatomy of the eye. If you think about it, as an artist, or anyway, if you like drawing anyway, you have to draw the surface, so you might think that what's inside is not important, and it is not actually right. Even though that we are concerned about the surface, we have to care about what's inside of the surface, especially bones and muscles, because the reason is because they affect what's outside. Even though we are concerned about the outside, what's many of the things that are inside of the body affect the shape and in general the way the surface looks like. Well, there is many muscles and bones on the face, the ones that we are concerned in this tutorial are the ones that surround the eye, because they will help us to understand what's going on how the eye works. Here you can see three main bones. The first one is the eye socket, the next one is the brow ridge, and the third one is the nasal bone. This one, the eye socket, serves as a sort of like a box or a hole to protect the eye, and it is a space for the eye to fit on the face. As for the second one, the brow ridge, it serves more as a protection for the eye. As I mentioned before, if you remember it, we have different planes in the face, right? So if we think about it, this here is this is the brow ridge, and here inside of your eye socket you will find your eye, that sphere. And what happens is that here there is some space, there is a gap, and that has a reason to be. If, for instance, let's say there is water falling down like this, your eye will be protected, and that is the main purpose for this bone. And for the last one, it serves more as a connection and support to other structures of the nose and in general of the face. But there is something that is very important to mention in this, or for this bone, and that is the fact that this varies from women to men. Men tend to have this area smaller, so this bone tends to be smaller in men, and that is something that actually surprised me, because I thought before I learned it that was the opposite, because we men tend to be bigger than women. But anyways, that's the way it is. So yeah, there are the three bones, the main bones that make up this area around the eye. So let's go quick through all of these names. The first one is actually the two first ones are the eyelids, those guys over here that protect the eyes. The second ones are the T-duct, this area over here. The sclera is this white portion of the eye, and the iris is this color area, and the last one is the pupil, right? So actually, when light hits our eyes, the light will get inside our eyes through the pupil. And the last one is the cornea, which is actually transparent. But if you look in this area, you can see this highlight. This is actually the cornea, which is transparent and looks like a contact lens. For the eyelids, something that is very important to mention is that they are thick. As you can see here, they have thickness. So you have to remember that when you draw eyes. I am so happy that you made it till here. If you liked this tutorial, you should check out the extended version in which you will learn in detail about shading of the eye, and not only that, but the proportion of the eye, and how to actually draw an eye accurately. I highly recommend you to check out this tutorial. To do so, you have to go down below to the description box where you will find a link that will take you directly to this extended version for you to enjoy.